Hello. Are you an energy worker or spiritual worker who's looking to learn more so you can broaden your practice? Maybe you're a spiritual seeker, trying to find out everything you can about the world of energy. Possibly you're new to energy work and you're trying to find the straight goods on how it all works without the touchy-feely language that tends to give us all a bad rap. In any of those cases, you've come to the right place. My name is Renu Arora, and I am the co-creator, I am the creator now of a new energy healing modality called the accelerated release technique, co-creator of the trigger release method. I help people overcome physical, spiritual, and even emotional and physical problems by getting to the underlying triggers that are trapped in the subconscious and releasing them. And to my clients, it looks and feels like magic. But like any good magic trick, when you understand how it's done and really get to know what the underworkings are, then you realize there's nothing magical about it at all. And in fact, we can recreate that same magic for ourselves. So why am I here? I'm here to show you that energy work I want to make energy work understandable and accessible for everyone. I want to show you that it's not just for those rare few with that gift, that natural insight into how it's done. So if you're ready to be empowered with new knowledge and understanding about how the world really works, then I would love to welcome you to today's topic. So today we are discussing something new. This is rather different for this show. It's called the three bodies. Now, what that is it's not an energy modality per se, not the way that my previous episodes have been about. What this is, and in fact, my usual spiel is to welcome practitioners, energy practitioners, people who are interested in energy work. Today, I think this is a topic that is really relevant for everyone, for people who honestly don't have any insight into energy work. Maybe you've heard about it, but because what the premise behind today's topic is that it's all about well-being. It's all about understanding that healing and health and wellness, it's not just, there's no just one piece. We are beings with more than one layer or level. And our guest today, he has come up with a framework for the body, or the human being, called the three bodies. And I'm going to let him describe that in detail in a little bit. But before we get too far, let me welcome all of our viewers, the ones who are here and the ones who are joining us for the replay. So thank you very much for taking some time out of your day to be with us. If you're here with us live, please remember that there is a chat box. If you have any questions during the course of the show, all you need to do is send us a little message and we will do our very best to incorporate your answers into the show. And as a reminder, I also do a demonstration of the accelerated release technique at the end of the show. So if you're interested in being a recipient of the demonstration, then throw that in the chat box as well, and maybe you'll get chosen to receive that demonstration. Now, without further ado, I am really excited to welcome today's guest. It is Dr. Anoop Kumar. He is a board-certified emergency physician in Washington, D.C. metro area. He has developed a new framework for well-being called the three bodies. The three bodies can be used to experience well-being and better understand science, healing, and consciousness studies. So thank you, Anoop, for being here. I'm pleased to welcome you to the show. Why don't you take a couple of minutes and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Renu. This is an awesome experience. I'm excited to talk to you and your audience about this. I love the name of your show, by the way, Spirituality Meets Science, because in a way, that's what the three bodies are about. So a little bit about me. By training, I'm an emergency physician. I've been in emergency medicine for about 10 years. And the way I started arriving at the three bodies and developing the three bodies is because of really my background through the rest of my life, which has been a little bit in philosophy and meditation, and the experiences that I went through and I'm still going through as I meditated and as I studied philosophy, and as I looked at the world around me in healthcare, showed me that what's really missing in our perspective in healthcare today is that idea of well-being. What we really want, whether in healthcare or just in society, what we really want is well-being. And yet in healthcare, we don't have an idea of what well-being is, right? The whole process is disease-focused. So identifying a disease, studying it, finding out how to make it better. But how about what is well-being? How do we augment the processes of well-being? Not just when we're sick, but all the time, right? That really is what healthcare is about. So when I saw that that was missing in medical school, not just in medical school, I mean, even in middle school and high school, it was apparent to me that what I was experiencing within myself and what I'm being taught in school is they're kind of two sides of the same thing, right? It's kind of like this objective approach to understanding the world and understanding our place in it, and that's kind of what science is. And then there's the subjective approach, which is generally what's called spirituality. I'm not so sure that it has to be called spirituality. It's just adventure. It's just exploration. Okay. But regardless, with these different approaches, what's that?
I'm going to stop you there because then I just have to do a little segment before we get really into our discussion.
Okay, sure.
But I love that you've given us the where you're coming from. So that's really what I wanted to hear, and it gives us all a great idea from your background and how and why you're relevant. So just really super quick before we get too far into discussion, I have my little section called Practitioner News. So as a reminder to anyone who's been following, our next practitioner training course is St. Patrick's weekend. So that's March 17th, 18th, 19th. That's just that one little piece in there. The other thing as far as so for my practitioners, this is the little point in my show where I like to give a shout out and give a new little bits of information, because ART is it's constantly in development. As you know, this is subconscious work that I do, and about the subconscious is, or the great thing is, if you ask a better question, you get a better answer. So I'm constantly working to find out what gets answers faster, better. We go deeper and we get out of here quicker. So I wanted to share with you an experience that actually happened yesterday. It's more of a reminder, especially to my new practitioners, that we cannot forget to be constantly asking. I call it the standard 7. There are 7 questions which we have to ask all the time. And so I'm going to show you why this is important by giving you a demo, a little description of a client I worked with yesterday. So the standard 7, all my practitioners know, is we ask if the ego is in balance, creating any drama, if the ego is going to give us permission to work on the issue at hand, for us to work on it, if it is for our highest and greatest good to work on it, if we are indeed giving ourselves permission, and that's separate from the ego giving us permission, and if we're not actually denying ourselves permission. So those are the 7 questions. So I was working with this woman who had congestion yesterday, and so we asked the questions to make sure that we're allowed to work on this issue of congestion. So we do that, and most of her congestion cleared up. She had some spots right under the eye that was stuck, a little bit, I think her right nostril still was congested, and a little bit sort of almost behind the nose is how she described it. So we we had to, at that point, pinpoint specific areas. And it was interesting because the way it worked is we actually had to address each area separately. So the first thing she said is, yeah, I can feel it like in my right nostril. So it's like, okay, is the ego in balance? Oh, it's not in balance. So it's not in balance because of one of a few reasons. It could be that it's not safe to address that. It could be that it's not for the highest and greatest good. It could be denying any of the other four. So we have to address that first, and then all of a sudden the ego's in balance. Now it's giving us permission to work on that little element. So we work on that. Okay, now her right nostril's cleared. Now we work on the next spot. And again, the ego was out of balance. We have to go through the whole thing again to get it back into balance. And now we can clear that. And then we were able to do the third section. So it is so critical, so critical. You always, always check whether the ego is in balance or whether it's actually allowing you in. Because if the ego is not in balance, it's going to send you on a wild goose chase. You're going to think that you are we're actually working on an issue, whereas it is just telling you what you want to hear while trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you protected. So so that's my little thing. So anytime you do the work, make sure you've got the permission to get in, and all parts of your subconscious conscious energy is willing and ready and able to go. All right, that's my practitioner's minute or two. Now we're gonna remind you what today's topic is. Again, it is the three bodies. So we're looking at a larger framework of health and healing, and this is so important, so vitally important. And I can sort of one of the reasons I'm finding it so important is because it's people like me who need to get on board. I started as a scientist, science, and I was one of those people who wouldn't give energy work the time of day. I didn't have any. It didn't fit into the objective. There's no double-blind placebo-controlled study, so I won't believe that it works. It's all in your head, that kind of stuff. If it's all in your head, it's not real. That was the framework and unfortunately many health practitioners, particularly Western-style health practitioners, are coming from. I was very fortunate that when fate called and decided that it was going to give me some messages, that I actually decided to pay attention. And so now I'm open to a whole new understanding, and can actually conceive of what Dr. Kumar is going to be talking about today, the holistic person. So I'm going to let him take over and really describe what that all means. But this really speaks to me, because it I don't know if I'd heard you speak before I got into this, whether I would have given it to the time of day, but I wish and hope that I would. And if you can put this into a framework where those of us from the medical background can understand and maybe start to embrace, then wow, health and healing is just going to take some giant leaps forward. Yeah. So yeah, if you want, so tell me, what exactly is the message you want to share?
We might need a couple shows for this. You've said so many things I would like to address. Let's start with one thing. You said, the idea when we say that it's all in your head, right? That energy healing or energy or consciousness is all in your head. Well, there's this idea that normal science, the way we conduct it, is out there and it's objective. It's objective, OB. But we know that everything that we perceive is filtered through our mind, right? It's filtered through our lens. There's no such thing as something that's absolutely objective. You and I can both agree that we're seeing a red chair, and in that sense it's objective, but there's nothing that is not filtered through us. So for example, if I'm looking at a red chair, that red chair appears as a red chair only to a human being with a human nervous system, right? So the photons are going through my eye, hitting the retina, being transmitted, and then there's some kind of interpretation happening somewhere, which we don't know how it happens, and then the image of red chair is interpreted. The key word is interpreted. It's not an objective representation there. So if you had...
Then you're in
What's
trouble.
that? Yeah.
You're in trouble.
And if you're a bat trying to sense what that is, you're not going to see a red chair because you're using echolocation. You're using a different perceptive mechanism. And so who knows what you'd see, right? Mm-hmm. If you are an insect with many eyes, who knows what you would see? So the idea that there is an objective, independent world is a fallacy. It's illogical. And so, that's the first thing that we have to understand. Now, certainly there are degrees of objectivity and subjectivity. Yes, that's true. But if you experience energy and I experience energy and we feel like it's the same, that has some objectivity too, because we've reconciled that through language, through communication, and it has a subjective component. And the same thing for everything else. So I think that's important to understand, this whole idea that it's all in our head. Science is all in our head too. So it's important to have that perspective, And the other thing, that double blind, you mentioned double blind, placebo-controlled trials, randomized controlled trials. Yes, again, all important, and also all subject to interpretation, right? If something does not work better than placebo, then here's an interesting question. What is the mechanism by which placebo works?
That's the question I ask people.
What is a mechanism by which it works? And, there are two common explanations. One is that, it's belief, and belief does it. So my question is, wow, really? So you're saying consciousness influences matter? Huh? That's what you're saying, right? Because it's belief. Belief is a modification of consciousness. It's one particular type of consciousness. And if I believe certain things, then my pupils might dilate, my blood vessels constrict, my respiratory rate goes up. So what is the mechanism by which consciousness influencing matter? Let's answer that question. Very important question, right? Another explanation is that placebo is about ritual, right? There's certain rituals that we do. In medicine, we wear white coats. We have stethoscopes around our neck. And so when a patient comes in and sees that ritual, they might automatically feel better. They feel like they're in good hands. So again, that's a belief in a ritual. So the same question, how does consciousness influence matter? Right? So these are scientific questions. These are logical questions that need to be addressed for us to really get that big picture. So there's so much more to say about that. And let's set that to the side.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to keep that phrase in mind the next time somebody asks me, it's all a placebo, Renu. You're not really helping people. Right. So I would say, that's amazing. Can you tell me how placebo works? How does consciousness influence matter? Yeah. Right? That's the next question. So, that's really important. And hidden in the answer to that question might be that even in the other arm of the study that's not placebo, that's not a placebo arm, is consciousness influencing that too, but we don't know how to detect that because we don't even know how consciousness influences matter. So in other words, is there a placebo effect happening in the other arm, but we wouldn't call it placebo because it doesn't meet our definition, but is consciousness influencing matter in the other arm as well, undetectable to us because we don't understand the mechanism to begin with, right? So there's so many things to tease out there. The way I came up with the three bodies is when I was in anatomy lab in medical school when we were doing our dissections of the cadavers, and I was learning about, I can't help but laugh, but I was learning about the organs, and I was especially fascinated by the hand because, the hand it looks very mechanical when you go underneath the skin and you see kind of the pulley system and the tendons, and if you pull on the tendons here, you can actually make the hand move even with the cadavers. Really fascinating stuff. And then what I asked myself is, wow, here's this amazing body, and I'm seeing the liver and the kidneys,
but this is not how I experience myself. So, how I experience I have a femur, but I don't experience my femur, and you probably don't either. I don't experience my liver. I don't experience my kidneys. I don't experience my brain, right? It's functioning, very active right now. My heart's very active. I don't particularly experience those physical organs. What I experience is thought, is feeling, is sensation, right? So I can sense the floor beneath my feet right now. I can sense the seat on my thighs right now, but I'm not sensing my femur per se. I might feel curiosity, happiness, sadness, all these things. These are the things that make me up in my experience. And yet in medical science today, we don't account for them. Or we account for them by reducing them to neurotransmitters. And we say, well, that neurotransmitter is really what that emotion is. As a neurotransmitter, we say, well, it's a molecule. Well, what is that? Well, it's an atom. Well, what is that? Well, it's made up of particles. Well, what are those? Well, they're kind of like waves. Well, where do waves come from? What are the aspects of fields? Well, what are those? We get to this point where we get back to space-time, and we have to start to find what is space-time, how does space-time arise, and all those questions. And this is a very logical process, right? There's nothing we're extrapolating that's out of place here. So the question is, when we start talking about what the human body is, we have to go beyond just describing it as a physical structure, because although that's valid, although that's important, and although that has very practical applications, we have to ask, what about the mind? What about our actual experience of things? What is happening in the brain there when we say that the brain is decoding external messages by some crazy code that we don't know that actually produces subjective experience? This image that I'm seeing, this reality, interpreted reality, not objective, this interpreted reality that's around me. What's happening there? So we have to give value to our own experience as well. So the three bodies is a model where we acknowledge the physical body, which we can dissect and see, the mental body, which here I define as feelings and thoughts, and then also the energetic body. And the energetic body is something that science hasn't reached yet, right? It knows the physical body, it knows part of the mental body, not most of the mental body, it knows part of it, and then the energetic body is out of its reach, because energetic body is not something you can see with a microscope or a telescope, right? The way science extends its vision today is through the telescope, looking outward to galaxies, or through the microscope, or through the imagination, by thinking, by creativity, by experimentation, right? And the energetic body is not really about imagination. It's not about looking at it with a microscope, and it's not about seeing it with a telescope. So how are you going to experience it? If you're not using those, if you think those are the three instruments and nothing else, then you're going to say the energetic body doesn't exist, right? Just like if I say that if I can't see, let's say what's behind me right now, right? So somewhere behind me, there's a chair. And I'm going to say, well, it doesn't exist. I don't see it. Well, I'm not using the right tool. If I want to see the chair behind me, I have to use a mirror to get the right reflection. Or I have to use my neck to turn it around and look at it, right? So there's certain tools and techniques that we have to use to see certain things. If I want to see a chair in the dark, I have to use a flashlight. Otherwise, I'm going to say it doesn't exist. So not perceiving something and saying it doesn't exist is not the same thing. There's a huge chasm between the two. So science right now does not perceive the energetic body, and therefore it generally illogically extrapolates that it doesn't exist. But that's an illogical extrapolation because it's not using the right tools. So in defining the whole human being, we must define the totality, which is the physical structure, the mental structure, and the energetic structure, which so many wisdom traditions around the world have experienced, which millions of people have experienced, and which every person can experience given the right framework. And I think it's important to define the human being completely so that we can talk about the human being, whether we're talking about surgery of the physical body, meditation starting in the mental body, energy work of the energetic body, whatever it may be, so that we're all talking about the same human, right? Whether it's in the East or the West, it's the same human being. Why don't we define the human being completely? And that's what the three bodies is about. And ultimately, one step further, as we talk about the three bodies, physical, mental, and energetic, it's also important to recognize that we have these three bodies, right? They're not all of us, but we have them. Just like I have a sweater, but the sweater is not all I am, right? So I have a physical body, I have a mental body, I have an energetic body, but what is that I? What is that I that wears these three garments, right? So in science, that's called consciousness, right? There's now a developing science of consciousness. There are great conferences that are happening all over the world on the science of consciousness. And so the current theory in science is that consciousness is the underlying reality. In physics, some call it the unified field. It's not the popular perspective. Most physicists do not agree with that, but some do. And I think that's the actual reality. I think that's the right word to use. The consciousness, some people call it awareness, some people call it being, but the idea that the substratum of the physical world is not physical, that the substratum of the physical world is something fundamentally immaterial, not material. All right, and that's described as consciousness in many wisdom traditions, and that is something that everyone can experience. And when we experience ourselves as consciousness, we can see our three bodies, energetic, mental, and physical, and all of them playing out as they do. So the full significance of the three bodies is that it describes a full human being. It can bring all the healing systems of the world together because it actually uses complete anatomy rather than segmented anatomy. But most importantly, it's a map to what we really are, not just who we really are, not just the personality behind the personality, behind the personality, behind the personality, but fundamental what we are. You know, we're not different at a fundamental level from the world around us. There's a unity that is central to the entire world, whether it's people, places, things, ideas, whatever it may be. And so that's the full significance of the three bodies and what I want to share.
Okay.
Was that too long an answer?
It was just right. Although we are running low on time. I'm just trying to. There were so many pieces in there. I'm like, wow. I'm thinking the ramifications of so many bits and pieces, because you talk about the energetic body, and then one of the things I think about is and when one of the questions that you talk about in your blog is, are you referring to spirituality?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that because that can throw a lot of people off. So
right.
how do you reconcile the two? Because like an energetic body, many people would call that their soul or their, something that intangible piece. Yeah. How do you talk to people who are a little wiggy about those kinds of subjects?
Yeah, well, I think the key is to just be clear on what we're discussing and just to be open to what our experiences are, and some experiences are more subjective than others. What some people call the soul, some people may call the energetic body, some people may call it energy, some people may call it my inner self or my true self. And it may be hard to know across, different terms what they're referring to, but it's important to see that we can generally talk about three perspectives. One is the objective perspective, which science generally takes, which isn't totally objective, but it's relatively more objective than meditative processes or inward processes when we turn our attention within ourselves. That's more subjective, right? And that would generally be called the spiritual approach. Okay, now spirituality comes from the word breath, right? Spirit, to breathe. So it refers to something that's an intrinsic part of us and that's subtle, like the breath. And yet, there's nothing other than that has to be labeled spirituality, right? We can simply call it an inner science. It's science directed inwards, right? Once we understand that science itself is not inherently objective, but is a level of objectivity, well, it's a different level of objectivity when we're looking inward. It's more subjective. But it's the science of our own experience, as opposed to the science of something we're saying is external and not unique to our own experience. So that's the way I reconcile that. Spirituality is a fine word, but it doesn't have to be applied to this. You can just say this is the science of subjectivity, right? This is the science of experience. And so these three perspectives, one is the so-called objective perspective, one is the subjective perspective. Those are the two perspectives. There's a third one that is neither objective nor subjective. Right? So that's important to remember. So there's always a subject, a person, and then an object, right? So then there's for example, now there's Anoop and Renu. So from my perspective, I'm the subject and you're quote unquote the object, you're a person. From your perspective, I'm the object and you're the subject.
Right.
So we can study these in different ways. We can study the object, which is science. We can study the subject, which is traditionally be called spirituality. But then there's also a third perspective in which we're seeing both the subject and the object, right? So if I am the subject and I'm looking at you, then it's my perspective on you, right? So I can study, the other perspective is your perspective on me, where you're the subject and I'm the object. But what if there's a third perspective where both of us are the object, right? So, or both of us are the subject. Either way you could put it. Basically, it's outside of that subject-object orientation. And so I think there's a limit also to the word spirituality is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
I can subjectively study something, but at some point, stepping out of even that role of Anoop and what Anoop can understand and an energy that I can experience within myself. This is all subjective. But how about if we step outside of the personality, outside of Anoop, outside of Renu, and experience life from that perspective? Can't really say that's subjective because it's not about Anoop or Renu. It's just a different perspective. So I think it's important when we talk about spirituality to see where it begins, which is when we turn the lens on ourselves. That's generally what we mean by spirituality. It's the science of inner experience is another phrase for it.
Okay.
That's where spirituality begins. But it also ends. It ends when we step outside of the individuality and the individual perspective. So those are the bookends of spirituality. Right. We can call it the science of inner experience or anything else. But that's the framework within which I talk about spirituality.
Okay, I really want to sneak in one more.
Yeah, go ahead. I got time.
What do you want to add? Now we're getting feedback. What's going on there? I can hear myself through your speakers. So what I wanted to ask is, okay, I'll use myself as a framework. So now here I am. I came from the science perspective, and now I'm into woo-woo land, right? So when I try to talk to people who haven't embraced the other bodies, I get a whole lot of resistance. Now you're an ER doctor. You're surrounded by people in the Western medical arena. What kind of response are you getting with the three bodies? I'm really curious, and I just wonder if you've got. Sometimes it's this thing with doctors. If you're a doctor, you automatically get credibility like way up here, and people will listen to you more. So, like, has that been your experience, or do other doctors look at you and go, maybe I'll go back to that guy.
It's important to just like we teach at 8th grade, we teach a certain level of math. In college we teach a different level of math, and so on, right? Or if I'm speaking to my fellow physicians, I'm using a particular language. When I'm speaking to you, I'm using a different language, and so on. So it's all about knowing the audience. So I generally don't talk about the three bodies to most physicians. To some I do, depending on what their experience is. Generally, people that have started some kind of practice of mindfulness or meditation, they're more aware of these things. And so I can talk to them more. I can jump right into the three bodies and have that conversation. But with most people, I talk about meditation. And I talk about meditation being a way to experience the mind and being a way to experience more of ourselves. I say that, most of us are walking around like a racehorse with these blinders on, like looking like this, right? And this is how much we see, because we have so many ideas about what we have to do. I have to get this done. I have to do these 10 things and got to finish them all by 6 p.m. Got to get dinner on the table, so on and so forth. There's this to-do list. And so our vision's quite focused on that. And meditation is basically a way of opening up that vision. And as that vision opens up, we start to see beyond what we call objective reality, and we start to see more of ourselves. And what is that? That's the mental body and the energetic body that starts to show up as we broaden our vision. So I don't have to talk explicitly about the mental body and the energetic body. I use language that people are familiar with, which most people are familiar with body and mind. So I say, well, here's the physical body, but there's more to us. There's more in the mind. You work with a subconscious mind. That's a mental body, right? So I say there are ways to experience the rest of that. And by addressing those things and becoming aware of those things, the rest of our life will change, because the mind's processes are always working and always influencing our experience and our physical bodies. So I just use simple language: body, mind, meditation, experiencing more of ourselves, right? I mean, who doesn't really want that?
It's all in the approach. You can't, so it's about speaking to them in language that they're already comfortable with, and then gradually open.
Right. So when I was in 8th grade, if somebody approached me and started talking medical speak, right? I don't even realize how many acronyms and words I use that sound strange to a lot of people. But if somebody started talking to me like that, I'd be like, whoa, just slow your roll. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not really sure I'm interested. Just leave it there. But if they said, hey, explained it in layman's terms, might be interesting. So I think it's the same for any topic, especially when you're talking about subtle experiences like the mental and energetic bodies.
Yeah. It's hard for those of us who are in such a damn hurry to get everybody on board.
Yeah. Me too. But I found that, I do what works. Not so much what I want to do, but I do what works.
That is a good philosophy for everything. Okay, well, that's as much as we have time for. I really am going to have to bring you back so we can explore other areas of this, because there is so much stuff that we can delve into. So we'll schedule a part 2 in the near future, I hope. So thank you so much for coming in. You are an awesome guest. Thank you. Yeah, and this was just so much fun. So so if you just want to add like a couple of last words, and please tell our audience where how they can reach you if they want to know more about the 3 bodies. Take your I don't think you mentioned this now. I think it was with me earlier that you have a course that you offer. You might want to speak to that a little bit, and see if our viewers, if they want to learn more, then let them know how.
Yeah. So you can go to my website, which is anoopkumar.com, ANOOPKUMAR.com. There's a blog there if you want to read more about the 3 bodies, about the actual practical applications. We talked in broad strokes today, but practical applications in healthcare, in leadership, and in your own life to experience well-being. If you want to take the course, you can go to anoopkumar.com/journey, and that takes you to the 3 bodies course. It's a 1 to 2 week course. I would recommend taking it over that period of time, where it explains in detail the 3 bodies and has 3 powerful meditations to actually take you through the 3 bodies. And as well, it brings in the concept of energy, which is misunderstood today, and makes that link between energy as science understands it and as the subjective experience. So that's anoopkumar.com/journey.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're just going to wrap up real quick. I'm going to let you know next week we are talking about chakra therapy. So a lot of modalities use chakras in their sort of as a general. Even I do that too. We have a woman who's going to be talking to us. She specifically focuses on the chakras, so that's going to be really cool. I'm excited about that. If you have enjoyed what you've seen and you want to learn more different modalities, anything to do with health, healing, energy, all that good stuff, all of it is potential for this show. So sign up on my website you can sign up for my email. You can get notifications about when the show is airing. That is healfromyourpast.com. You can also follow me on Facebook. So facebook.com/healfromyourpast. If you like what you see, share it with your friends. Let them know. We're on a mission, and if you're with us, then please help us spread the word about all the good things that we're trying to do. And that is all for today. At this point, I usually have a viewer or a guest help me do a demonstration of ART. So if you're out there, I can see we've got some viewers. If you are interested in being the recipient of a demonstration, this works online this way too. Then just type a little thing in the chat box. Otherwise, I might ask Anoop if he's willing to be a recipient of a demo so that I can show you what ART is all about. Yeah, nobody's writing anything in the chat box. So, so Anoop, you still think you might be okay to do that for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so so as we've mentioned, the work I do is subconscious work, and I've said this well every show before. The way a session with me would normally work is that we have a person would come in with a problem, the thing that they want to work on, and I would access the subconscious to find out why the problem is there. So my belief, very firm belief, is any issue that you're dealing with now in present day, it's merely a signal. It's there as your subconscious trying to send you a message. It's like the flashing light on your answering machine. The whole purpose is to get your attention. And what I do is we actually listen to the message. We go in and find out what's causing that flashing light. And once we release that unresolved emotional issue, the light stops. So it's pretty much that simple. Simple might be a little too simple. It can get convoluted and complicated, but that's the once we really do get to the roots, the problem does resolve itself. So that's how a session works. What I want to do with you, because this is not the context for that, is flip that idea on its head. And instead of addressing a particular problem and finding out what's underneath it, we ask your subconscious if it has a particular issue that it would like to see resolved. With the idea being, if it says, yes, this is the most important thing, then there are some flashing lights in your life. You just haven't recognized them for what they are. So the hope is, or what I expect, is that something will get resolved. We just don't know in advance what kind of changes we're looking for. So does that make sense to you so far?
Yeah, you're going to access my mental body is what I got.
Yeah. We're going to access mental and energetic. We're doing both of them for this.
All right.
All right. So because there are energy shifts that take place. Okay. So what I use to access the subconscious is a pendulum. Have you ever seen a pendulum in action?
No. Other than on a clock.
Other than on a clock, yeah. So what I do with this pendulum is energy is everywhere, and your energy shifts. Your subconscious will shift based on the thoughts or the what it's trying to say. It can essentially communicate through my pendulum. The pendulum is like an energy translator. So I'm not personally tuned in. I'm not a psychic. I don't read your mind or anything like that. I get all my answers through this pendulum. And if your subconscious wants to answer yes to a question, my pendulum will swing front to back. And maybe I'll move over here if we can see a little better. If it wants to answer no, it automatically gives me a counterclockwise swing. And there's a whole bunch of other answers in here, but that's the stuff that's what I'll mostly be getting. So what I need to do first is ask if I can connect with Anoop. And basically it's saying, yeah, I can see you out there. Remember earlier when I was doing my practitioner workshop, I have to actually get permission at various levels. Like I can't just ask questions and expect to get in. So the first question I have to ask is, do I even have permission to access all aspects of your energy? So that's physical and spiritual, unconscious and conscious, physical and spiritual, as well as across the timeline. So it initially says no, which is really normal because most of us do not go around in our days providing everyone with free access to what's going on inside. So it is shifting. All right, it's shifting. Okay. Okay, thank you. So we are in. So I do have access to what's going on in there. So now we're going to ask for permission to access the most important life event that is seeking to be released. And that's a yes. But the first thing I'm going to ask is, with respect to this life event, is your ego in balance? That's a no, which means it said it was going to give me the most important one. It lied. It wasn't really going to give me the most important one. So what's keeping it out of balance? Is it 100% safe for us to address this one? Okay, it's safe. Is it 100% for your greatest good? No, there's part of you that says it's not for the greatest good. Do you give yourself permission 100%? Okay, yeah. And do you deny yourself at 0? No, it's not denying it at 0. Okay, so which is more important? Permission denied? Yeah. Okay, so why are you denying yourself permission? Is there a lesson that needs to be anchored? Yes. A core belief that needs to be released? No. Other emotions or feelings to release? No. Any drama around that lesson? No. Is it one lesson? One lesson. Is it 1 through 20? Oh, any drama around the lesson? I asked that. No. Is it a 1 through 20? 21 through 40? 41 through 50? 51, 52? Okay, lesson 52. So for some reason, there's a reason that you are not, you're denying yourself. You know, we can want something and want the opposite at the same time. It's like, you know, oh, I can't think of anything really good. Yeah, I really want to go to that party, but no, maybe I don't really want to see some of those people there. So like we can be of two minds about something. So with respect to getting into this particular event, there's a party that's like, I want to take care of it, but no, I don't. And so the reason is there's a lesson, there's something that needs to be anchored. So there's a lesson that needs to be learned on the part of your energetic self. Oh, do I have to read the whole lesson for you? No. All right. So basically it says, share in and allow for the happiness and successes of others. So we're just waiting for that to shift. Because as soon as I get a yes, then it means it's been anchored. Okay, so that lesson has been anchored in. Now is it, do you deny yourself permission at 0%? Yes. Do you give yourself permission at 100%? Yes. Is it 100% safe now for us to address this life event? Yes, it is. Is it 100% for your greatest good? Now, is your ego in balance where this event is concerned? Yes. Is it creating any drama for us? No. And now is your ego giving us permission to address this life event? Yes. Okay, cool. So now that we've got permission, let's find out what the event is. How many clues will help us figure? Oh, is there any drama around the event itself? No. How many clues will help us figure it out? Is it 1 clue? No. 2 clues? No. 3? 4? Okay, so it's going to take us 4 clues to figure it out. So just going to remind you. So I'm going to find some clues. They're emotions. It's going to be like we're trying to identify a scene in a movie. So there's a bunch of emotions. They're not all necessarily yours. So these are going to be the different people involved, different emotions. We're just trying to set the stage. So I'm finding, it says that there are four different emotions. And we're going to narrow it down to see which ones they are. Are any in column A? No. Column B? No. Column C? Is there some drama around it? Yeah, there's drama. Demand that drama be released. Any more drama around them? Okay, how many emotions is it? 1, 2, 3. Actually, it's supposed to be 3 emotions. And in column A, 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Okay, so the first of 3 emotions is A34, which is disbelief. So the first clue is disbelief. The second one, is it in column B? Nope. Column C? Nope. Column D? Yes. 1 through 10, 1 through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8. So column D. Column D8. Column D8 is mistrust. So we have disbelief and mistrust. And the third one, column D.
Is there something in particular I should be doing during this time, or?
Oh, you don't. I have to get this information first, and then you'll be able to. Okay. Yeah, there's drama on the last clue. Can then this drama be released? Any more drama on this last clue? Okay. Is there still a third clue? Is it in column D? Column E. 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30, 21 through 25, 26, 27, 30, 29. Okay. E29. And unsupportive. All right. So right now we've got our 3 clues. Disbelief, mistrust, and unsupportive. What we're going to do now is find an age. And once we have an age, you can start thinking if there's a particular event that springs to mind. And if it doesn't spring to mind like immediately, then we'll keep looking for clues that are going to help figure it out. Okay, so when was this? During adulthood. Okay, before the age of 15? No. Age 15, age 16, age 17, age 18, age 19, 18. Okay, so around the age of 18, give or take a little. It could have been 17, could have been 19, but somewhere right around there. So does anything just spring to mind, or do I have to investigate a little further, find out who is involved, things like that?
About what? What kind of?
Okay.
What am I looking for?
Mistrust, disbelief, and unsupportive. So something that happened when you were approximately 18, give or take a little bit, where the predominant emotions were mistrust, disbelief, and unsupportive. So you can think about what you were doing around the age of 18. We can ask, like, did this happen at school? Did it happen at home? But if something springs to mind, then yay, we can go on and release it. First part is identifying it.
Could be going to college. I went to college at 18. I don't know if that would.
Okay, did it have to do with going to college? It did have to do with that. Yeah. Is there any drama here? No drama there. So it did have to do with going away to college or going to college.
So I started thinking differently at 18, maybe with the educational process and some of these thoughts about the early version of the 3 bodies and all that.
Right. Okay.
And but I wouldn't say it's kind of was years before that and after that as well.
Okay. There's just something more specific about that. Okay, hang on. Is that part of the pattern? No, it's something. Let's just ask, is this enough information? No. So there's something more specific that we're looking for, but yes, it did have to do with you going away to college. Did it have to do with the formation of the 3 bodies and those ideas and thoughts? So yes, there was, that is part of it. That is part of it.
I was reading a
particular people involved. Okay, so this had to do with you and some particular people. So it wasn't a general, so was it family? Okay, I'm getting a yes and no to family. Okay, it was family part of it. Okay, so some part of this was family. Were other people friends? Not friends. Classmates? Yes. Okay, so family was involved, classmates were involved. How many people were involved besides you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. You and like 8 other people. So some were family, some were classmates. Any drama here? No, I'm not getting any drama, so it should be clear. Something springing to mind? Nope. Okay.
8 people.
Let's see. Approximately
I'm
eight
trying to
people involved. I don't know what's going on here. I'm getting a no. No what? I didn't ask the question. I'm thinking you're on the wrong track. That's why it's just like, no, go try something else. Okay, let's think. All right. Was this during school? No. Was this before you started school? Okay. So it's before. Okay, is there intention here? No, there's some drama I gotta get rid of. Oh, okay, there's some drama. Demand this drama be released. Any more drama here? No. Okay. Was it during school? No. Was it before school started? Okay. All right, so this had something with before you actually started school. Anything else?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Okay. Is there drama there? Okay. Yeah, there's something here. What's creating this drama? Is it a lesson that has to be anchored? Core belief to release, feeling the resolve, an obstacle, challenge, an influence? Okay. An outside influence, inside influence part. All right. Engaged part. Yes. Disengaged part. No. Any drama? For this engage, is it safe for this part to embrace wholeness? Yes, for the part to embrace wholeness, is there a lesson to anchor? Core belief to release, feeling to release, an obstacle. Okay. Challenge, obstacle. Is there any drama around the obstacle? I demand that drama be released. Any more drama around it? Nope. Is it one obstacle? Yep, the obstacle 1 through 20, 21 through 40, 41 through 50, 41 through 45, 6, 47, 48, 49, 40. Okay, 48. So this is interesting. Part of there's a reason you're not able to recall it. Have you heard of the term inner child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it refers to the inner parts of the mind.
Yeah. In the work I do, it's a form of stuck energy. So what I do is release stuck energy. So it could be stuck emotions, stuck beliefs, lessons you're meant to learn, and sometimes when we have traumas or things that happen, another form of stuck energy is well, I actually use the term parts, but it's essentially an inner child. It's like you, sort of a piece of you trapped at an age. Like it's a part it's like another person that's stuck in time. So it's holding on to some hurts or traumas or whatever. So there's a part of you that is holding on to an issue, and it's keeping you from remembering what's going on here. So
I'll reflect on meditation today.
Okay, well, this particular part has an obstacle to overcome. It says, I lack tolerance and patience. So in order for this part to overcome that obstacle, are there lessons to anchor? Yes. Core beliefs to release? Nope. Other emotions? Nope. Any drama around the lesson? No. Is it one lesson? Yes. Oh, I said it was a lesson. Yes. Is it one lesson? No. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, in order to anchor these 9 lessons, is there a lesson to anchor? Nope. Core beliefs to release. There we go. Any drama around it? Nope. Is it one core belief? Yes. Is it 1 through 20, 21 through 40, 41 through 50, 41 through 45, 6, 8, 9, 10, 49. Okay, so that part is holding on to a belief. And we have to release the belief, and then the obstacle goes away. And the belief, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the belief, and then I'm going to read the opposite. We're going to read what we want your subconscious to believe instead.
Okay.
until it shifts. So the belief that it's holding on to is, if I always tell people what they want to hear, I will never get into trouble. The opposite of that, finding my voice and speaking my truth is most important for my inner well-being. To tell someone what they want to hear to avoid trouble will actually cause trouble when the truth is finally asked for. Oh, I haven't totally shifted yet. There we go. Okay, having released that core belief, have the lessons been anchored? And is this obstacle still a problem? No, that obstacle is not a problem. Now, is there any more drama around this event? Okay, so now the clues are still the same.
I should tell you, I just have a couple more minutes.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go through this really quick because I'm wondering now if there's anything that's going to come back to you. So was this before you started? See, now it's saying no. Okay. Was it during school? Okay, so it was during school. How many people were involved besides you? Was it one other? 2, 3. Okay, you and 3 other people. When there's drama, like I said, that part was obscuring a lot of stuff. So there are 3 other people. Any of these people family? No. Were all of these 3 people classmates? Okay. It was you, 3 classmates, with the emotions being mistrust, disbelief, and unsupportive. Anything spring to mind now?
Not getting any specific memories or any specific events. It's in college, you're saying?
Yeah. 3 classmates. Okay, were any of these guys? Okay, we're all of them guys. Okay, 3 male classmates. And if you want to throw out some names, we can actually narrow it down to the specific people that are involved.
I got nothing.
Just name some classmates, and we'll narrow it down that way.
I'd rather not name my classmates online. I'd rather,
okay, and just think of them one at a time. You can just say, I'm thinking of a name. No.
Okay, I'm thinking of a name.
Not that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one. And that one's a no.
These are classmates of mine or just friends?
Were any of these 3 friends?
In college or?
Okay. Were any of them, were they all friends? No. Any of them friends? Yes. How many? 1, 2. Okay, 1 was a friend. Okay, are you thinking 1? Because it's still saying yes.
No, I'm trying to come up with names now.
Okay. You know what? Now it might not even be important. Do we still need, do we need any more information? Yes. Is there drama here? None of drama. Any more drama here? No. Okay, what? It just was shifted to any drama? Still nothing springing to mind?
I'm coming up with names, but I can't think of any
event.
Any you mentioned, yeah.
Okay, because I know you have to go, and that makes me sad. Because I don't like leaving things unfinished.
I don't mind if you want to, we can come up with some other time to get back on.
Could we?
Yeah,
okay.
We could.
I will totally do that.
We can communicate later and figure that out.
Okay. Yeah. We're totally going to do that because I know you got to go, and I don't want to keep you. We ran long. It is what it is. So I did promise you we were going to be done by now. So, dang. All right. I am totally going to follow up, and we will finish this. Maybe we'll record it and broadcast it, and we'll just throw it in an addendum or something.
Okay, sure.
All right. So, thank you so much for being willing to do this. I am gonna follow up. and you'll get to see what it is I do, and I don't want to leave our viewers hanging. So we will continue. Again, I really appreciate you coming and chatting with me and being a guest. And this really was great. I really mean that. I would love to have you on the show again.
Okay, look forward to it.
So
all right, thank you.
I'll be in touch. Okay,
All right.
take it easy. Bye.
Bye.